there is a double standard in enforcing the COVID-19 regulation in urban areas and rural areas. Madam Speaker, my prayers to government are one, can government ease the ban on holding prayers in places of worship and make it uniformly applied in all parts of Uganda? Two, can the priests and a few members, like 10 in number, be allowed to attend worship for the sole purpose of broadcasting mass and other religious teaching and on their respective days of worship at their worship places? Say for Christians on Sundays and Muslims on Friday, and I think 7 days on Saturday. Madam Speaker, my third prayer is also that while we appreciate the efforts of His Excellency the President in giving out the guidelines for the nation to follow, religious leaders and Christians are complaining that why can't he start the prayers, giving out the outlines by prayers first and then ending with the national anthem? Because Uganda is a country known very well to be a religious country. Thank you very much.
I don't know where the Minister of Information is. I don't know who can assist us on the management of prayers during COVID. Onabahat, is there anyone who can guide us on how the prayers are managed during the COVID?
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for raising these issues, important issues. We will look at them in the COVID task force, and then we'll find an appropriate minister to come and respond to them.
Thank you. Honourable Kayense, 2 minutes. Connie? Where are our people?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I have some matter of national importance, and this is in regard to the communication that the President gave us, and he was unlocking, and we are very happy that our children are now going back to school. But Right Honourable Speaker, much as our children are going back to school, we want a few things to be, we need some light on certain issues, like we have some of our children who have been going to school on borders, and they cover very long distances. And yet, borders, as per now, are not allowed to carry anybody. What is the ministry advising us, or the Fountain of Honor, what way forward for these children who have been going to school on borders? Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, we have students in our villages who wake up at 5 to walk long distances to cover so that they are able to reach school early enough. And time for curfew stops at 6. And yet, if they begin their journeys at 6, they will reach school late. We don't know how it's going to be handled. And also, Right Honourable Speaker, these children leave school late and go home, and by the 8 is when they reach home. So, could you excuse me and I finish this? And by the time they reach home, it's again curfew time. How is this going to be handled? Because our children need to be safe. We don't want them to be beaten by the LDUs, because they have to walk long distances to reach home. And then thirdly, Right Honourable Speaker, we are happy that our children are going to be given masks before they go to school. But I would like to know, is it going to be one mask? Because they have to keep washing it every night, and some of them may not drain it so much up to morning. Are they going to have other extras? And if not, I pray that the ministry sensitizes the parents so that the parents can make some extra masks for their children. And perhaps lastly, Right Honourable Speaker, would like to know how the students who are on cross borders going to be catered for, because they are supposed to report to do their P7, their senior 4, senior 6, and then final exams in the higher institutions of learning. How are they going to be catered for, given the fact that the buses are...
No, you finish your...
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Given the fact that public means does not reach the border towns, how are they going to manage? And even our children from the border towns, how are they going to come to Kampala, go to Mbale and other areas to go and study, yet the public means are not accessible to those districts? I want to thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Okay, Honourable...
Madam Speaker, she had permitted me for information. Still on the same note, Right Honourable Speaker, I just wanted to add on what my colleague, Honourable Connie, has submitted, that adding on landlocking us on the border, the 40 mentioned district, we have students who cross from Kenya. We wanted the President to give a highlight on that. And again, nursery has lower, middle, and top, and every nursery student in top is a candidate. And the President kept quiet about them, because moving from a nursery school, which we call early childhood education, to primary is a candidate class. What is the government position on that? Thank you.
Minister of Education, could you please advise us?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would also like to thank Honourable Connie for the concerns raised about the transportation of our children, masks, and even about foreign students. Madam Speaker, soon after His Excellency the President gave guidance over the opening of schools, my ministry is engaged in quite a number of meetings trying to develop the guidelines that will develop the standard operation procedures which will guide the operations of the schools. And very soon the ministry will be coming up with a statement which will be presented here, giving guidelines on how the students will be transported, how the masks will be handled, and even the foreign students. Madam Speaker, I just wanted that we allowed some time to finalize the guidelines, and then I will come back here and share with the with Parliament, Madam Speaker.
But I hope you are not going to the media center. You know, these days government has a habit of going to address the country at the media center instead of coming here. What an assurance that you'll actually come here, address the country from here on those issues.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the ministry, I'd like to assure this August House that once we are done with we have developed the guidelines, we'll come back here and share this with Parliament.
Honorable, what about the graduates of nursery?
Madam Speaker, it's part of the guide. It's going to be part of the guidelines when the time comes to. when time comes for us to share with the Parliament, even nursery will be addressed. The issue of nursery, top class will be addressed.
Okay, Honorable Silio Gwal, 2 minutes. Honorable Silio Gwal. No, Honorable Gwal. I'm following this.
No, Madam Speaker. Something on school fees, Madam Speaker.
No, member. You should ask for your own opportunity. I've called Honorable Gwal. You first wait. Let me hear Gwal first.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm arising on a matter of national importance, and actually, first of all, to express my disappointment and the fact that I think many of us who have been concerned with the matter are actually running out of patience. Last year, on the 3rd of April, 2 years ago, on the 3rd of April 2018, this Parliament passed a resolution to approve bilateral agreement between the government of Uganda and South Sudan government to pay Ugandan traders who traded with Sudan but were not able to be paid. That request was approved on the 3rd of April 2018. And the Clerk of Parliament was able to communicate with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to give us a response to that. That year passed, no response, nothing. On the 25th of March, Right Honorable Speaker, the Clerk of Parliament again wrote to the Minister of Finance, drawing the attention of the Minister of Finance to the resolution which had been passed by Parliament, reaffirming the position of the resolution passed on the 3rd of April 2018. And I think there was a list of about 23 companies that had been verified by both countries. Right Honorable Speaker, in that letter, the clerk requested the minister to come and give the status of that issue to Parliament on the 31st of March this year. We know we are faced with the COVID-19 pandemic, but that was a directive from Parliament, which up to now has not happened. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that Parliament has to take a final decision on that, because as we face the pandemic, the countries really need grain marketing, and most of our grain traders have been crippled because of that indebtedness which has been caused by trade with Sudan. And the government of Uganda has already entered into an agreement to resolve that issue, and would like to see our traders back to business. So I would like the Minister of Finance to clarify to us what the status of the Ugandan traders who sold their maize to Sudan and other grains to Sudan, what status the government can give in regard to that matter. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now, is that the same matter where we had a committee, or is it different? The committee of Honorable Anna Marie. So then I want to know, where is the Minister of Finance, the substantive minister? Last time he came here, he said he's coming to answer this issue. Since then, he has disappeared. Honorable Bahati, where is your minister?
Madam Speaker, this I think is going to be almost 100 times when this issue has been raised on this floor of the House. Yes, Parliament appropriated 76 billion to help those who suffered under South Sudan trade. And when the minister was here, actually was asked, though he didn't come to make a substantive information, you had requested that he comes, but official position is that you give us time, since we still have 1 month to go before the end of the financial year, we see how to sort out this matter. And maybe we can come back here tomorrow to give a final say about this matter, because it has been on for long, and we don't want to continue on this, debating this issue forever.
So you are coming tomorrow with an answer? The minister is coming?
We'll come tomorrow to answer this question.
Okay. Honorable Mutebi, 2 minutes. Then Onesimus Dinamasco, your issue is almost similar to Honorable Mutebi. You will follow him.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I raise a matter of national importance concerning the plight of people living along the shores of Lake Victoria. Whereas it is true that some people came and settled within a radius which is not acceptable in law along the shores of Lake Victoria, and government has continually asserted that they should get out of that way. Right Honourable Speaker, the problem of the rising levels of water on Lake Victoria and the increased rains has turned into a crisis situation, to the extent that even the gazetted landing sites, the designated landing sites, have been badly affected. This is not only displacing people, but it is also going to impact the fisheries subsector, because the state of these landing sites at the moment does not meet the minimum standards acceptable in the international markets where we've been selling a lot of fish. Secondly, some communities that have been staying within those areas have been displaced. It is therefore my prayer that government considers this a crisis situation and assesses it to find some solution in order to avoid the negative impacts to both the people and the economy.
Madam Speaker, the other time I was saying that while we pray here, I think it needs fasting also. The issues in the waters is something that is very dangerous. The other time, when the President was speaking, he said even the National Task Force should consider the islanders. Donations and donations are being made. My brother is crying here, and sometimes I think it becomes a crime that you, Speaker, when you direct something, I think then sometimes it is not followed. It is my humble appeal. The President has gone to Kasese. The government should move into the waters and see the situation which is taking place. People are hungry, people are displaced, they have nowhere to go, and we are giving out food and help, we are doing nothing to them. It is my humble appeal that you direct also, that the government should come and give us a statement, I think tomorrow, how they are going to handle the issues of the islands before our people perish. Thank you very much.
So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to specifically mention Kiindi landing site. Google landing site, which are some of the places affected, and the roads also are now impassable. The roads as well have been cut off, like the one going to Busaga's Peninsula. It is the only single access road that they have, and if it is not worked on, people have been cut off.
No, can I invite Honorable Onesimus his issue is similar?
As on clarification one. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleague, for giving way. The clarification I'm seeking from you, in your preamble, you alluded to the fact that people have encroached in areas where by law they are not supposed to settle. Do your prayers extend to those people you alluded to in your prayer? Because it will be against public policy if you are making a case for people who engage. That's why I'm seeking a question from you. Thank you.
I want to reaffirm that much as the people may have gone there while the government was looking, they remain to be citizens for whom we can find solutions. But to start with, we can consider the places that are now occupied legally but inhabitable.
Honorable Onesimus, 2 minutes quickly.
Madam Speaker, the government of Uganda has made a decision to displace people settled in 68 villages at landing sites along Lake Albert, right from Ntoroko up to Pakwach. The 68 villages to be displaced are villages which exist legally with the stamps, local government leadership, and government institutions like schools and health centers. Government says that this is a mission to avert the cross-border intrusion of the Congolese to Ugandan side in this coronavirus pandemic. However, Madam Speaker, the government has got soldiers who can guard the borders without necessarily displacing people who have nowhere to go. Now, the government has issued an ultimatum. Madam Speaker, of 48 hours for people to vacate the said villages. There are no arrangements put in place by government to resettle the thousands of people being displaced. Right Honorable Speaker, this appears to be an indirect eviction. Because these are villages which are existing illegally with the stamps and local council leadership and government institutions. Madam Speaker, our people are panicking. They're in a state of confusion. They have nowhere to go, and they are being forced out of their villages with no option provided by government. Madam Speaker, let me receive information from honorable officers as I conclude.
Thank you, colleague, for giving way. Right Honorable Speaker, I represent Chikube District, and we have landing sites touching Lake Albert. They are closing 5 landing sites in Chikube District. Kachunde landing site, Busigi landing site, Kienyanja landing site, Ususa landing site, and Kina landing site. These landing sites have a lot of people living there. And these people hail from different parts of the country. Others are from Kampala, from Iganga, from Arua, from wherever. They have nowhere to go. These people have families. Women have children. They are there stranded. There is no means of transport. They cannot move. I request therefore government to give these people time, at least 1 month, to prepare and leave this place peacefully, and maybe be given free transport since the lockdown is still there. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, these people are being displaced not because they are floods, but because of the coronavirus pandemic. Government is saying there's cross-border intrusion, and they are trying to stop the Congolese from entering Uganda towards that side. And Madam Speaker, we have soldiers. The government has soldiers. The government has soldiers that can guard the borders. The government has soldiers that can guard these borders, not necessarily displacing the people. Madam Speaker, my prayer to government is that they suspend this indirect eviction of people, and that this House demands a proper explanation from government on this important matter. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honourable members. I thought the issues were similar, but they are not. Now, on concerning the rising water levels, and the disappearance of the landing sites. I saw the Minister for Fisheries. I don't know whether there's anything you can say about this. Are you in a position to say anything? Then the second one on the eviction of the fishing villages from the landing sites. I don't know who's responsible for the evictions. The Minister for Lands? The Minister for Lands, tell us what to do with the people who are being displaced from the fishing villages.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will start with the rising levels of our waters. The government had all along left people to settle on the banks of the river and the lakes to create opportunity, economic opportunities for them. However, while we appreciate the disruptions that are being created by the rising levels of our waters, by also the climate change, which is a worldwide phenomenon, while we appreciate all this, allow me, Madam Speaker, to inform the House that actually the government cannot look on when its people are being swallowed up by this phenomenon. It is on those grounds that we are saying the people must leave. The people must leave so that the mistake of having settled at the riverbanks outside the radius that was decreed by government, those people are not affected and their lives and property is not exposed to catastrophe again. On the villages that are on the border, the eviction is not actually an eviction as defined in our laws. It is a displacement, which is different from eviction, because eviction arises where, one, there is a legal decree that people must leave that land. But if the government is rearranging the affairs to ensure that public health is preserved, borders are preserved and protected, it's not eviction as such, but it is replacement. I therefore want to state, Madam Speaker, I will accept the clarification.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for giving way. Whereas I accept the explanation you are giving, that it is in order to ensure the safety as far as health is concerned of our people along the common borders. The clarification I want to seek from you is as to why it is so selective. Because according to the presidential directive, it affects 40 districts around Ugandan borders. But the issue here is only from Ntoroko up to Pakwach, excluding other borders from other parts of Congo, South Sudan, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania. So really, is it so selective? If it's about health protection, why isn't it applying to every part of the border of this country, and why only those other areas? That is the clarification I want you to help me with.
Yes, Honourable Waira, quickly.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and the Honorable Minister. Madam Speaker, you are aware of a government fishing plant in Bugoto landing site in Mayuge. That fishing plant of a government, which costs billions and billions of money, has been swallowed up by the rising levels of water. Now, if government could put that project there before even doing any environmental impact assessment, why government would go ahead to blame the people who are living near the lakes, and they say that they are in a mistake, when the government itself is not looking at its own mistake of putting a multi-billion project and even swallowed up by the waters?
Very quickly.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Minister, for giving away. Two issues to clarify to me. One, if people were settled in those affected areas and the government has been looking on for the last 35 years or so, in 1998 you did pass legislation called the Land Act, where you provided for lawful and bona fide occupants, and lawful occupants being those who were settled by government, and those specific individuals, lawful occupants who were settled by government, and whose eviction or dealing with needs to be compensated. Secondly, in respect of those you've talked about displacement, do you have a resettlement action plan showing where you are going to resettle them, the facilities that have been put in place to ensure that their lives continue uninterrupted?
Maybe, Honourable Minister, you might also answer why now, during this COVID situation, thought everything was to remain as is until the lockdown. But also, how are you transporting these people to wherever you want to take them, if there's any way you are taking them?
Madam Speaker, those are difficult questions. I ask for permission to come back and give a comprehensive statement. Thank you.
Will you come back? Minister, when do you hope to come back? When? When do you come back, Minister?
Madam Speaker, next week, Tuesday, if you permit me.
Okay, Tuesday next week. Yes, Minister of Fisheries.
Honourable Speaker, allow me add what my colleague has just shared. As we are all aware, we are faced with the three problems right now. The first one was locusts, followed by COVID, and now we have this rising water in our lakes, which is basically caused by two reasons. One, Lake Kyoga took over 4 years without being drained or cleaned, whereby some floating islands were not removed, and that issue made the lake to overflow to Lake Victoria and others. Secondly, the second reason is that, Honourable Speaker, the human activity has affected.
No, allow her to finish.
The human activity has affected our lakes, where you find the majority of our people going to the wetlands. Even here in Kampala, like Portbe, where people went, rich people went and made water their sting rooms and compounds. And right now, it has affected us as a country, and therefore, during the time when we are fighting COVID, the rising water has also come, and there is no way we can be able to leave our people to get into problems. For example, for the last 2 weeks, we have lost more than 5 people in Serere district, where I come from, when they sneak to the lake, because right now Lake Yoga is on holiday. When they sneak to the lake and find that the water they expected to be at a certain level is not what they thought, they end up drowning in the lake. So therefore, there are so many ministries involved. Land is involved, environment is involved, disaster is involved, Ministry of Agriculture is involved. So we have been having meetings, trying to see that we settle those who have got into a big problem, like the island that you had that was submerged. And also, we have a challenge of settling those other people who went to the landing sites for fishing and ended up owning the places around the lakes, which was illegal. But even when it's illegal, we have to make sure that they are put somewhere, and we have been settling some of those people. So right now, disaster is handled, the issue of Fukasese, and we are trying to settle people down. So, Honorable Speaker, the reason why we are trying to settle these people is because, or we are trying to ask people to leave the landing sites and the wetlands, is because there is a danger for their lives. And sometimes some of them wake up and find that even their houses are all full of water. So it's better to ask our people around the lake to leave before the water causes them a problem. Thank you.
Now,
Madam Speaker,
Honour members,
yes, Madam Speaker, just
no, you have raised your issues many times. They are pending. Let's do other things. Let's do other things. Yes. Honourable Songa, you had an issue. If you could.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I rise on a matter of national importance. On the 16th of April, I came here and raised the issue of the escalating situation caused by the war in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Yesterday, the situation has worsened, and if you look at the New Vision newspaper of yesterday, page 32, it was also reported how the displaced persons or the refugees are trying their level best to cross to Uganda. Actually, a few of them, about 2,000, crossed to Zombo, and our soldiers took them back to Congo. I don't know whether that is allowed under international law, but we know we are under the crisis of COVID-19, and these people are now camped behind Lendo Forest. Lendo Forest is in Zombo district. They have no shelter, they have no food, and many were killed in the Congo side, houses were burned. Now this has created a kind of dilemma. We are managing COVID, His Excellency gave some directives. How do we handle this dilemma? That is to ensure that the women and children who are running away from this war are helped. This war is not ethnic as you see it. It's not an ethnic conflict. There are big people behind that war in the Congo and also outside Congo. So it is affecting us here in Uganda. So we really...
Your prayers?
Yes, and related to that, last week also we witnessed the land conflict which also affected about 1,000 people, again in Zombo. So my prayers are as follows. One, the government of Uganda should either gazette a place to settle these displaced Congolese in Zombo district, and supply them with food and ensure there is shelter and other humanitarian support, and also inform the UN agencies. Or they should be settled in Congo, to be taken care of by our soldiers on the Congolese side with agreement with the Congo government. 2, government should send more troops and logistics to the border areas of Zombo, Nebi, and Pakwach. And to manage all this situation, the roads are in bad shape. So Ministry of Works should really pay attention to this road at the border so that issues of surveillance, security, movement of logistics and goods can be quickened, because it is going to be a major factor hindering any support we want to give. So the road from Nebi to Zeu to Vora should be given priority, because it will help to ease this situation. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
So I don't see the Prime Minister's people here. Yes, Minister of Health? On that issue? Yes, Minister of Health.
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I sympathize with our brothers and sisters from the DRC Congo for the war situation that is escalating over there. Last week I was in West Nile region, and I met a number of leaders within that region, including Zombo, my brother is talking about, including my own district, Moyo, which is already having problems between the refugees and the war escalating, forcing the people to run into Uganda. But, Madam Speaker, when we see the situation currently of this COVID pandemic, which is really a threat to all nations, and given the fact that our borders have been closed, we are not allowing movement of persons in and out the boundaries, it has made it very difficult to intervene in such a situation that we needed to put a humanitarian face. We discussed this over and over last week with the leadership over there, and I made it very clear to them. We marches, we sympathize with the mothers and the children, the population who are rushing to Uganda. The situation of COVID-19 cannot allow us, Madam Speaker, to receive these people into Uganda. As we much know that the situation in South Sudan is really a big threat to us, likewise in DRC. However, Madam Speaker, this discussion is probably to be handled at a higher level, because it involves the heads of state, since the directive for the close of border of ours is from the command of chief, the head of state. I would probably say that the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, might be in position to give a definitive response. But for now, the response I gave to those people last week was, we are not in position to open the doors. I thank you.
Okay, I think we shall ask the Prime Minister to come and give us advice on the way forward, because the situation is real. We have to do something about it. So let's ask the Prime Minister to come and update us next week on how to handle those people. Now, Miri Mugeni, you had something to say. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to make additional contribution to Honorable Connie Galiwango's statement. Madam Speaker, you know very well what many parents are going through now, that some of them have been laid off from their work. Some of them who have been doing small businesses, they are completely off. And the term will soon begin, as the President announced. Madam Speaker, I was just to raise a concern that there are those parents who still have pending issues to do with fees balances. And when the term begins as a new term, they have again to pay fees again. So I wanted to inquire from the Minister, how is he handling that? Have they had some engagements with the head teachers on how we are going to manage that situation? Because I see we are going to have a very difficult moment with to do with the fees. So I wanted to hear from the Minister on how he's going to handle that matter, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, my colleague, for the concern. School fees is one of the issues we are trying to discuss, and of course, many parents have expressed similar concerns. We have not yet agreed on a position, Madam Speaker, as I said earlier on. Once we have come up with a position, we'll be informing the country. But the idea behind is we want to see that everybody who is supposed to be sitting as a candidate this year is registered, goes back to school in an environment that is conducive to learning. That's why we need quite some time, Madam Speaker, and then come back to you, to this House later. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Minister, provided you come back before the schools start, because we should know what to do before the children start.
Madam Speaker, I've already committed my ministry to come back here and share with you the guidelines before schools start.
Okay. Thank you very much, Minister. Let's go to item 3.1.
Item 3.1, statement by Minister on the management of floods in Kasese and Bundibujo districts.
Is the Minister for Disaster here? Oh, it's not. Is in Kasese? Okay, we'll remain on the order paper for tomorrow. 3.2.
Item 3.2, statement on actions taken to enforce adherence to building standards and regulations on the numerous accidents occurring at building sites, status of compensation of affected families, and steps taken to stem the reoccurrence of such accidents.
Minister of Works? You were not here yesterday. They're still not here.
Item 3.3, statement on government's plans to procure face masks for all Ugandans.
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I stand to present a statement to this floor on the plan of government to procure face masks for all Ugandans. Madam Speaker, as a matter of an update to the country, the Ministry of Health would like to inform the public that a lot of progress have been made during the 21 days of lockdown, and thereafter the 14 days extension. We've achieved a lot, and subsequently we are in another extension period of lockdown till the 4th of June. Right Honourable Speaker, Uganda, as you may recall, we have registered an index case on Saturday, the 21st of March this year, and to date, the country has got a total of 135 confirmed Ugandan cases of COVID-19. And we also have a total of 129 confirmed cases of foreign truck drivers. To date, Madam Speaker, 65 cases have fully recovered from COVID-19, and currently there are 30 cases that are actively admitted, and we are looking after them. Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Minister, you know the preambles we have had many times.
Okay.
Just to go to the issue of the
Thank you for your guidance. Madam Speaker, the masks are garments that cover the mouth and the nose. In healthcare, masks Masks are worn to protect either the user or the environment of the user, where there might be other people against contamination by infectious agents. Madam Speaker, there are two types of masks broadly. We have the medical masks and the filtering respiratory masks. These are made of unwoven fabric. They are designated to filter out about 95% of aerosols. Those are small particles, less than or equal to 5 microns in size. Madam Speaker, the rationale for use of masks in the community is to prevent infected people from dispersing the virus as they cough, they sneeze, they talk, or when you breathe. It is currently thought that the virus shedding sheets, the peak is about 2 days before a person develops symptoms. As such, people without symptoms or just developing symptoms could infect many people before they know they are infected. With the current pandemic, everybody is a potentially infectious person. Madam Speaker, the rationale for the use of masks is based on very many experience from very many countries and from very many international organizations, including CDC. Madam Speaker, the plan for government of Uganda to procure face masks for all Ugandans. The government of Uganda will follow formal procedure for award of contract to all manufacturing companies that might have the capacity to produce the required face mask according to the laws of this country. Currently, Madam Speaker, the available capacity assured by Uganda Manufacturing Association members that will engage in textile, the capacity goes up to 800,000 per day. And that will translate to the number of masks that we need for the country. There is also a proposal, Madam Speaker, to mobilize other small-scale producers under KCCA and other local government agencies. So, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health will not only engage Uganda Manufacturing Association members who have got manufacturing companies in textile, but also other small manufacturing companies will be fully engaged in this process. And for that matter, allow me take this opportunity once again to thank the President. I want to thank the Parliament of Uganda. I want to thank all the healthcare workers for all the gains we've achieved as a country. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, allow me appreciate the general public for adhering to the 35 Prudential Directive and the guideline by the Ministry of Health. And on behalf of Ministry of Health, we wish to appreciate the public-private sectors for the continuous support to the health sector. The Ministry of Health is in the process of procuring the face mask for the public and has given already guidelines on the standards of face masks to be used. That is why Madam Speaker was giving a preamble describing the standard. However, in the interim, Madam Speaker, we encourage those who are able to make the face mask according to the set standards and to procure privately to do so. The ministry continues to appeal to all public to remain calm and to practice the preventive measures to wash hands with water and soap, or use alcohol-based sanitizer, and to maintain a social distance, and always wear a mask when you are in public. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Minister. I'm coming. Minister, I just want to know how much money are you going to use to buy masks for Ugandans? Secondly, did we budget for it? Did we budget for these masks? Honourable Wadri.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you very much, Madam Minister. Last evening, when I listened to His Excellency the President giving directives, the issue of public transport and even private vehicles coming on the road was hinged to wearing of masks, which will be provided under his directive, and he indeed told us that it is Nightil Ginger Fabrics which is going to manufacture these things. The question which I want to ask the Minister, through you, Right Honourable Speaker, is, if it has taken so long for government to pass the money which we appropriated here to the districts, to the RDCs, to the district health officers, how long will it take this same government to provide face masks for 42 million Ugandans? Because we are all looking to that time when we will all have it, so that public transport will open, so that other businesses will open, so that the public is allowed to move out freely as the President directed. How long will it take? If it has taken you so long just to wire money to the districts, how about the manufacturing and the distribution of these face masks? How long will it take you?
Honourable Muiru, Akelo, Sobagara.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we are dealing with a very serious matter. I've made an observation that as we are dealing with these serious matters, the front bench has mostly state ministers. Like in the matter and issue, Right Honourable Speaker, for the benefit of my good friend the minister, under the law, it is the national medical stores which is supposed to procure medicine and medical supplies. And for your information, national medical stores had issued out a call for manufacturers of masks under restricted bidding, where all manufacturers had been invited, those who are actually known, to participate in the process. Then there was cancellation. Maybe this is also for information as you are following up. And what has actually happened, Honourable Speaker, there is a presidential directive to the effect that the process of manufacturing masks go to Nightil. Maybe if you are also not aware. Right Honourable Speaker, what is an issue? That whereas we don't have a problem Nightil participating in the production, what our contention that they don't have the capacity to produce the masks required for all Ugandans within the specified time. And for that matter, we are saying that the guidelines should be developed by the ministry, so that they are known, so that whoever has capacity and the competence to produce actually participates in the process. So this is what I think you should be responding to, other than to other issues we are delving in. I beg to submit.
Honourable Akelo. Akelo Sebagala. That keys up.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker. The clarification I seek from the Minister is there are two. One, you talked about engaging Uganda Manufacturers Association to make sure that these masks are produced. If it is just engaging, and then the President talks of 2 weeks within which the masks are distributed, are we not late? Two, you talked about NITIL, which the president has highly talked about and recommended. At one point he said, I don't want any other mask apart from the one coming from NITIL. I am happy that he changed his statement yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't watch the statement. And NITIL has capacity of you said 880,000 per day. Will we really catch up with the time? And then finally, I saw something on social media. Maybe you help me clarify about the challenges that NITIL was facing regarding one of their machines manufacturing the face mask. Is this true or not? Should it cause a worry? Thank you.
Osebagara, Dino Macho.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, in the Speaker's statement, in the Minister's statement, I thought he's going to talk about the companies they talked about yesterday. Madam Speaker, State Minister for Health, Honorable Nabanja, told us that they were in a meeting with over 20 companies. I've not heard any company that has been mentioned. Madam Speaker, I wouldn't like or wouldn't expect the executive or the cabinet to disregard PPDA rules under the guise of COVID. Madam Speaker, as we try to boost and also to encourage locally produced goods, Madam Speaker, yesterday we were urging government to ensure that even our small companies, the groups, the ladies down there all over the country, because this is a very simple thing that can be made by many Ugandans and they can earn money out of it. But it seems like they want to only to ring fence a certain company for their own objective, Madam Speaker, and that is really very bad in as far as Bubu is concerned. Madam Speaker, when it comes to schools, I wonder how they are going to distribute masks to schools when we know that they are saying 1 mask per person. And Madam Speaker, some of us who are in schools, we cannot even give a student 1 pair of uniform because we know the repercussions. How can we say we are going to give Ugandans only 1 piece, and in any case, if that piece is lost, definitely he's going to be in danger. I think, Madam Speaker, through the Minister of Education, they can distribute these masks through education institutions so that when schools open, they even get them from schools rather than from any other place, Madam Speaker.
Ono Macho, Koluo Oketayot, Baba.
Madam Speaker, yesterday I was blessed to learn through Honorable Nabanja that there is a team that sat and turned themselves into purchasing officers and called upon companies that are going to supply the face masks to Ugandans. Therefore, I have a question to the Minister, whether what the President called frontline districts have special masks, because the way we see how the National Task Force is handling COVID-19, we people on borders, we are really facing challenges that all the markets are closed on borders. Right now, according to what the President said, after the lockdown has stopped, the border people are not supposed to move. I don't know whether we shall fly. I therefore need to know what is the government affirmative action on us people from the borders. And I want to use this the same time, Right Honourable Speaker, that in April, the Committee of Health closed the food produce markets in Busia. And as I talk right now, the cereals are rotting in the markets. For the business people, I have requested the government many times, even give us 3, 4, 5 days for the business people to remove their cereals so that they don't rot and begin growing. There is no an answer. Right Honorable Speaker, I really need your help. Lastly, I have a question to the Minister. We had a Chinese billionaire called Jack Ma gave a donation of face masks that were rejected in most African countries. I really want Ugandan statement concerning the masks that came to Uganda. Where are those masks? And if they are here, are they not dangerous as what we heard from Tanzania? Because Tanzania rejected them and other countries in Africa, but our government kept very silent about.
Okay, Honorable Oketayot. Oketayot, Koruo Baba. Okay. One minute each, please.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister in her statement says that the normal procurement procedure or process will be followed. But yesterday, the same minister stated here that a meeting was already held. She is not coming out clear to let us know how those who attended yesterday's meeting were invited. So we really want to know whether the procedure is being followed and whether there is going to be fairness. I want the clarification from the minister. Thank you.
Honorable Koluo, followed by Honorable Baba quickly. Then Honorable Amero Kitio Aza, Bukenya. Then I come back this side.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I was listening very well when the Minister was giving the speech about the face masks. She said that Uganda Manufacturers Association will be able to manufacture about 800 masks per day, so which means the population of Uganda, that is 42 million people, will need 52 days to produce these masks. The schools, the transport, according to the President's speech yesterday, it is only 14 days when these things are going to be opened. Where will the country get masks for about 30,800 people? Honorable Minister, 30,800,000 people. Honorable Minister, what is happening in our country because of this COVID? There is a lot of increase in domestic violence. Of course, this will accelerate domestic violence in our families, whereby we need also to plan for the health workers, especially the psychiatrists, to go to all our hospitals in order to counsel the people. Thank you very much.
Honorable Baba, then Honorable Amero, Aza, Kitio, Bukenya, Mbwa, then I take Kiza and Fungaro.
Madam Speaker and honorable members, usually Honorable Moriku, the Minister of State for Health, whenever she comes to Parliament, she comes here and gives a very well-researched paper, very good information, but this time I think she has faltered a bit. For the first time, she has slipped. Why? Because she has not given us clear indications how these masks are going to be made available to 42 million Ugandans as the President directed. And whether she really took into consideration the timeline of 4th of June will be met
by the production of NITIL, whom the President yesterday guided the whole nation that NITIL will be the one producing this mask. Assuming NITIL plus all other companies, the 20 Honorable Nabanja talked about, produce 12,000 masks every day. Assuming they worked 3 shifts, producing these masks every day, that is 36,000. If you divide 36,000 by 42 million, you get 1,167 days. That is almost 3 years. Now, if you add on this lockdown every 21 days, 21 or 14 days, when shall we ever end? Honorable Moriko, please come very clear to us as to the timeline and whether this deadline of providing masks for every Ugandan will.
Honorable Mero, quickly, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The clarification I would like to seek from the Minister is the quality of the masks that we are manufacturing. Madam Speaker, we are dealing with a virus. And when we talk about cotton textile, I don't know whether it is going to help us in any way to prevent this virus from taking in this virus, or we are creating another problem with this. I just needed to be guided on the quality and the capacity of the people who are going to make these masks. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
No, Babide Kitio, Bukenya, Mbwa, then Honorable Kiza.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And my dear colleagues, Honorable Minister, Uganda has 1.4 million refugees currently. That is in Western Uganda, in West Nile, and other areas, in Rwamanje, in Koboko, Yumbe, Obongi, and so on. These refugees are both, we categorize them both as urban refugees and those who have settled in their areas amongst the community members. And it has been realized that at times, more often than not, these refugees sneak from their areas of settlement and go to their home countries for food, and especially the ones from Palorinya in Obongi district. And because of insecurity, they sneak from Sudan, and they come at night and mix with the rest of the population who have settled. And this has really caused a lot of problems in the sense that it has become very difficult now for the RDCs to control the movement of these refugees. How will you be able to now give out face masks for these refugees who are always on the move? Thank you very much.
Honorable Kitio. Then Honorable Kenya, Honorable Mbwa, Watua Kiza Fungaro.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to request, first of all, to thank the government for not keeping a deaf ear over this issue of the great need of masks for the communities. My humble request is that this time round we need to learn from our past mistakes. Sometimes we come here with very good policies and ideas. Just at the stage of implementation, we spoil everything. As soon as we get these masks, or if we choose to give them out, I'm requesting that let's work with the local leaders, the LC1. These councils know their citizens, they know everybody, they can easily manage everything. I'll give an example of the distribution of food. Right Honourable Speaker, in some LCs, some citizens were left out simply because the local leaders were not involved. Even those that were They were not empowered enough, and they were not listened to. You find someone saying because so-and-so is living in a beautiful house, these people are tenants. And sometimes you find two families sharing a house. That doesn't mean because they can afford to pay that house, they own it. Right Honorable Speaker, I request that this time round when they are issuing out masks, please let them work with different local leaders, the youth leaders, the women leaders, the LC1 councils, and everybody. Thank you so much.
Honorable Bukenya, then Mbwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Then Kiza Watua, Kasumba Sabiti, and Fungaro.
Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Honorable Minister. You know, I studied some little science and also do a lot of reading. I want the Minister to clarify for us the quality of masks in terms of effectiveness in viral spread prevention. The one I'm putting on, the N95 the Honorable Bahat is putting on, and the one Nightil is manufacturing, which the Honorable Mbwa is putting on. Science shows that these pure textile masks are not effective in protecting. So far the research done in protecting people against the coronavirus, unless if there is a filter in between the cloth sheets. So I want to find out from the Minister which kind. Yes. I want to find out from the Minister which kind of masks Nightil is manufacturing, and whether it is going to be able to protect the Ugandans we intend to protect, because they may be thinking that they are protected when they are not. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mbwa. Mbwa, then,
thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. After sensitization from Honorable Shabe yesterday, I decided to come in with a local content of which I'm not certain if it is so effective. So, Right Honorable Speaker.
But thank you for supporting the ordinary producers.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, my biggest concern is we are talking about masks being given to communities. But my biggest concern is, before thinking about the community, are health workers well catered for, the frontline health workers? When you move in constituencies, in our constituencies like Kasambia, there are no masks. The ministry has only concentrated in regional referrals where they are expecting maybe to put people who are suffering from COVID-19. But they've neglected all the health workers down there. So, Honorable Minister, we've seen people donating PPEs, so many. But where are they going? Whom are you keeping these masks for? Why shouldn't you first think about health workers? I thank you.
Honorable Kiza, Stella, then Watua, Kasumba, Sabiti, Fungaro, and then Wijuke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And through you, I want to get clarification from the Minister about the two contradicting directives so far received. Last night, the President issued a directive that should be from Nightil and the government must purchase. Today, she has said those who are able can go ahead and purchase the right standard. Which one should we follow? And if so, if you are saying the right standard, it is this time that you should tell the country which sample should we follow. And if we followed that sample, and you are directing the country to buy those who are able, why can't you drop that purchase as a government so that we can save those innumerable billions which we are likely to spend? Let the country buy sample. We beat the deadline of 14 days and the country is unlocked. These are the clarifications I want you to focus on. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Actually, I hope the Minister can actually lay that mask here. Watua?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, procurement has been decentralized. A number of things are procured at the local governments. I want to find out why this time masks are being centralized, when even at district levels we have DHOs who can guide districts to procure masks that can be used by local governments or by people within the districts. Two, I come from a border district. We still have porous borders, and some people have families across the border, and they still cross. I don't know what government is planning to supply masks to those who are crossing from Kenya to Uganda. And finally, Honourable Speaker, I know Ugandans are very innovative. Why doesn't government just declare that people must put on masks, and people will be able to innovate and only give us standards on what kind of masks that we should put on, so that people who can afford can be able to purchase masks and also support local governments to be able to procure, instead of re-centralizing everything as decentralization is being killed. I thank you.
Thank you, Fungaro, and then Kasumba, Sabiti Muyuke.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. I would like to thank the Minister, my sister, Honourable Moriko, Joyce Doctor. First of all, we need to know the burden, the load we are carrying. The masks that we are to wear, how many masks does any individual person need in a day? Do we use the same mask every day until the end of the lockdown? And when is the lockdown ending? For me, government, if we go by the statement presented by the Honourable Minister, government is not well prepared to handle this matter of the masks. Secondly, in my opinion, Honourable Speaker, this is a mass disease. This is a mass problem. It requires also a mass approach, where many people get involved at the same time. That is the only way we can beat the time deadline of maybe 2 weeks. Now, Honourable Speaker, we are talking about face masks made out of cotton, made from a factory. Now let me ask you this question. Why is the government not promoting the industries which are spread up outside Kampala? We have Pakwach Ginare, we have Rhino Ginare, we produce cotton there. Actually, I visited Rhino Ginare, and there is cotton inside that Ginare. The Ginare has been run down. The government should use this opportunity to pop up and make our industries to work, so that we can respond to our own situation from West Nile to produce our own mass from there.
Kasumba Sabiti Muyuke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, from your own submission, it is quite clear that NITIL cannot produce the required masks within the required time. I'm wondering, when you look around, we are all putting on masks, and these masks are bought from the pharmacies. And we are also aware that most of these masks are imported. And all imported masks pass through the required tests by National Bureau of Standards. Now, where do you want the importers of these masks to put what they have already imported? That's one. Two, you've also said, from your own submissions and yesterday's directives from the President, will be effective from 26, when public transport will be open to the masses. But previously there was a directive that face masks must be mandatory by 19th, which was yesterday. Now, what contradiction? I seek clarification on that. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Sabiti.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And thank you, Minister. But I'm a bit confused, as the Honourable has stated, because the first directive was that in order to go to public, by 19th you must have a face mask. And as I talk now, my people in Rwanda and in Kabari are all being arrested because of that directive. And here, I am again shocked that actually that directive was given without technical specifications. Because if you knew you had not given technical specifications, and therefore the right masks would not be there, how do you now anticipate the public is going to think of what to do and then buy the right mask? I think this is very unfortunate. We should not come up with regulations which we are aware are not going to be implemented because of ABCD. We know we are in a state of emergency. We know there can be emergency procurement, but still within the law, certain steps must be taken in order for you to follow emergency procurements. Right Honourable Speaker, as we talk now, I have not seen...
Please conclude.
Yeah, let me conclude that even those specifications they have given, I don't think they even have reached the intended manufacturers so that they can put in their bid. Unless probably you also prove that.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, about a week ago, we went for an oversight role in Ntungamo, Isinjiro, and then finally went to Buhweju. You know, these three districts went to, 80% of the health workers did not have masks and gloves. 80%. We have 35,000 health workers in this country. We know there are occasions they're in either public or private health centers or even in mission facilities. If we are not able to take the masks up to now, Right Honourable Speaker, how can the minister, really, a Catholic like myself, come and say, unless really he's under, unless someone is asking her to come and just read a document which she doesn't believe in, how can you come and say in 2 weeks we shall do what we have failed to do with the health workers? In Buhweju, I had to make myself a purchasing officer and buy all these equipments for all the health workers in Buhweju and all the security personnel at the risk of being arrested and charged with attempted murder. So, Right Honourable Speaker, the point I'm making is, unless there is something that the minister knows and we don't know, I think this is not possible, and she needs to tell us the truth so that we help her. Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister, and I hope you can tell us why the government has become very generous to the population. Just use a few minutes, please.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank all my colleagues for the issues they have raised, their contributions, and some of the clarifications they have raised. I'm happy that the issue of the science of face mask was raised, which, Madam Speaker, I was starting with it. However, I am so happy to briefly just elaborate about the types of the mask. But allow me start saying that, Madam Speaker, we are living in a situation of pandemic. This is no longer the normal situation that we are in. That means whatever we do, whatever we discuss, we have to adapt and devise mechanism to live within this pandemic. And that is why the phenomena of face mask has never been there traditionally. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I was bringing on the floor of Parliament the types of face masks we have specifically in this country. We've got the N5, which is basically the type that is used in isolation centers for removal of samples and for handling highly infectious conditions. We also have the surgical masks or the medical masks, which some of us are putting here, which is disposable, which you use, you don't need to reuse it now and then. It is used and thrown. We also have the type we're talking about, the cloth mask. The two types of mask traditionally have been used in a health situation by healthcare workers in the state of infection prevention, in the state of surgical operations. So the face surgical mask and N95 are basically traditionally used in a hospital situation. However, the surgical masks, as you've seen, very many people that are able to afford, they can put on. Even here right now, many of us are putting the surgical mask. Madam Speaker, these two types of masks, by and large, they are not produced from our country. They come out of Uganda. And I want to say that the President made this statement some time back. Already the arrangement to ensure that in the next coming month, these surgical masks should be able, we should produce them within Uganda. That is already the communication that was made by the President and the arrangement that is going on. The issue we are discussing, Madam, on this floor of Parliament specifically is about the cloth mask, which is the NITIL. And I was trying to, Madam Speaker, make a statement on this type of mask, the standard that is required, the double layer NITIL cloth that can be made with a filter inside that can allow, something to be filtered up to about 95% of particles. And one of my colleagues asked the science behind that. I think literatures have proven it. Very many scientists and professors in ICU and many other places have proven that these NITILs, when they are double layers filtered inside, they are able to filter 95% of particles. Madam Speaker, having said that, allow me to say this. I made it clear that yesterday the Prime Minister called a consultative meeting with all the Uganda Manufacturing Association, and among all the people who have the potential to produce, to manufacture the face mask, they are able to produce a total of 800,000 face masks per day. And that will translate to about 11.2 million face masks in 2 weeks, which certainly is not adequate. And the question came, how are we going to cover the population of this country? What we have discussed and what I'd already put here is that we are zoning the country in such a way that once the face mask, the first phase is out, distribution starts as others are made to distribute the other parts of the country. So the country is going to be zoned and it's going to be distributed in such a manner.
Point of procedure, Honorable Muiru.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have all gone to school who are in this Parliament. For a fact, by law, national medical stores is supposed to procure medicine and medical supplies. I've heard the minister saying that they have met somewhere in a group, they are looking at these masks, and they have met the manufacturers. really, is it procedure right, Honorable Speaker, for the Minister to continue addressing us that actually they are doing some procurement of medical supplies?
They are purchasing officers.
Sorry?
They are purchasing officers.
Yeah, yes, that there are times to purchase. Yes, the mandate lies with the national medical stores, who have also issued out a bid in that way. Is it procedure right, Honorable Speaker, that we allow the mandate of a government entity to be hosted by a certain group of people who don't even have capacity to verify the quality of these masks? Because even when it comes to food, all food which has been supplied to government, it has been subjected to the National Bureau of Standards, meaning that when the national medical stores raise the specifications, it is through bids and they do the specifications. Does the minister and the team how they are meeting have the competence to determine the type of mask as per how she's explaining? I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Odonga.
Thank you so much, Madam, and for the procedure. Madam, if the Honourable Minister could bring to this Parliament a sample of the masks she's describing, so that we as people's representatives could inspect and see, because we risk a situation where they are produced in millions and then a debate will begin that they are fake. And secondly, if the Minister could tell us whether Uganda National Bureau of Standards is involved in determining those qualities of masks being made by NITIL. Because we have a situation where Ugandans doubt its government. The other time you issued fake condoms and people have resorted to using caveras in villages. So we need to be serious on these kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I did not intend to raise on this matter, but we are discussing a very important issue. The procedure I'm trying to raise, Madam Speaker, is the Minister is trying her best to explain, because we are getting these masks under very complicated circumstances. Even if we use national medical stores, actually the process of medical stores would be even longer because there are a lot of procedures. Now, but the way we are trying to raise to the Minister is like she should abandon that process and use national medical stores, which even will be longer. So I wanted just to raise a point of process that why can't we try to guide the Minister and allow her try to preside over this matter? Because really, I think to do the best under the circumstances, but we are looking as if she's making a mistake. She's not. No, I'm a member of Parliament, and I must be able to speak. So I think we must always try to be a bit more to understand the situation, because the Minister is trying her best. National medical stores, as I know, cannot manage to handle this matter even the way you are talking about. So I would think that, Madam Right Honourable Speaker, let us guide the Right Honourable Minister to preside over this matter. Look at everyone who can be able to produce, even if it's national medical stores, but we should not go into those procedures of national medical stores, which will even take longer. Yeah, that's what I want. I think we should be able to look at the situation. This is a very serious situation. We need these masks as urgent as possible, but also we must also be mindful that there are a lot of matters, a lot of issues, the procedure that we might not be able to follow. So I think let us have this understanding, instead of trying to show the Minister as if she has made a mistake. When she's...
Please take your seat. Honourable members, I'm surprised that there's a member advocating to abandon the procurement process, which is laid down by law of this House. I'm surprised. Minister?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I just wanted to call the Honourable Miru to a procedural order, because I was wondering whether he wanted NMS to come to the floor of Parliament to come and substantiate. Otherwise, as a procedural matter of Parliament, we always believe that the Minister comes here to represent the system of government. Thank you.
But, honourable members, I think the question is, the members are asking, NMS, which is ordinarily tasked with procuring these items, Is it involved? Because yesterday we were told that there are 20 people had met by invitation. How they're invited, nobody knows. We are questioning the procedure. That's what we're asking.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I think I need to clarify that point. That was stakeholders' consultative meeting. It has got nothing to do with procurement procedure. And Madam Speaker, National Medical Store, Uganda Bureau standards, including National Drug Authority, are part of the stakeholders when it comes to do with issues with drugs, supply, and medicine. So the stakeholders meeting was not a meeting called to start procurement procedure. But Madam Speaker, National Medical Store has got all the mandate to procure drugs in this country, medicine, supplies, and all the sundries. What we are talking about, this personal protective wear, which falls under the mandate of National Medical Store. So this is the body that is involved in the process of procurement. However, I want to say that all the necessary procedure is being followed, including National Drug Authority being fully involved in the process. Madam Speaker.
No, we need to close this matter. We need to do
very important, Honourable Minister. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, I am in possession of a bid notice by National Medical Stores dated 12th May 2020 for emergency restricted bidding for supply of personal protective equipment, PPEs, disinfectants, masks, and the rest. I'm also in possession of a letter dated as early as yesterday, but 18th May, from National Medical Stores, cancelling the tender for supply of PPEs and masks and the rest because of a presidential directive. So when do you hope to have the National Medical Stores actually commence the procurement of these PPEs, including masks?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you may allow me to proceed, I think we are moving in the right direction, that we have got a body that is mandate to procure all the drugs, supplies, protective wear in this country. Madam Speaker, I want to say that a number of clarifications have been asked, and one of them I've already made a clarity on it. The issue that was raised about the NITIL, I think that clarification was made. That was the first time the President made that directive. But yesterday's directive and his statement to this country, it was very clear. And from yesterday's statement, private vehicles have been given those in position to acquire the standard face mask, to go on and acquire this face mask so that by 26th of this month, they are in position to start work within the country. While for the entire country, we are in this process of procurement, in the next 2 weeks, we should be in position to distribute the ones for the public. Madam Speaker, there was a question.
Procedure, right, Honourable Speaker.
On a point of procedure, Honourable Gwal.
I rise on a point of procedure, right, Honourable Speaker. We are talking about a very serious matter. I wish the Minister could have a seat for just 1 minute. Right, Honourable Speaker, we are talking about a matter which is very important. And I'm very happy that the Minister of Finance is in the House. We are not talking about who is supposed to do what. We are talking about a very serious public matter. We are talking about a matter where the country has obediently listened to the President and have patiently waited, have been patiently waiting when the country can move from where we are to where they can at least function normally. Now, one thing which is hurting as the representative of the people is that we have been told that in 2 weeks the lockdown can be lifted, but that would be subject to the face mask being available. This is what is concerning us. Now, what the minister is saying is not giving us the answer, Right Honorable Speaker. So what I would want this House to guide the government, not so much the minister really, is that these 2 weeks may not be sufficient or practical. I think that's what they should say, that is not practical. 2, the president has come out very strongly in condemnation of the institution of parliament for turning itself into a procurement group to buy food and so on for those who are dying in our constituencies. And we have complied. We have listened. Now, you are coming to say, as executive, we have the right to constitute ourselves into procurement. We have directed 90, and that came from the mouth of the president, and so on and so forth. So this contradiction is confusing the country, Right Honorable Speaker. And that's why I would like this institution to guide the government properly. Can the government be guided that, yes, we have agreed the government will give the country free masks? 2, can the country agree that there must be guidelines given? There must be a procedure to advertise. There must be a procedure to pre-qualify. There must be a procedure to purchase this face mask. We want to know at how much are we buying this face mask? What is the specification? I mean, the specification, as the chairman of Health has just told us. So for me, I'm wearing this. I don't know the effectiveness of this one. But the chairman of Health has just told me right now that it must have some layers and whatnot. Now, we don't know. We are not looking fools. So, Right Honorable Speaker, can we procedurally guide the way the government is actually conducting itself in managing the COVID-19 pandemic? So much money is being received. Nobody has come to this House to tell us how much have you received in cash? How many vehicles have you received? How much food have you received? Where did the food go? Nothing. But we know that the 59 we gave the government has gone towards buying rotten food, and nobody has told us who is going to pay back the money. We have lost 59 billion for buying the food. The qualified personnel at the institutions have told that 30% or more of that food is contaminated. It's not fit for human consumption. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm here to say, can we guide the government? It's useless for us to continue listening to the minister when he's not leading us to any positive step in the management of this, what do you call it, facial mask. So I would rather that we guide the minister to go back and come back tomorrow with the guidelines, and we want to know when you have advertised. And I have in my constituency, Lera spinning mill. We want to know when you are going to revive it so that they can start producing facial masks and so many other things that we have. We have the women groups who can make this facial mask. We can come up with 3,000 in a day. So can you tell us when can we do that? That is what we want to hear, but not just all these songs that, you know. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm seeking guidance.
Okay, I'll handle that. Zooming on Flavia, Honorable Kwaso. Let's hear your Kwaso. Get Honorable Kwaso, then the government chief whip.
Yes. Am I? Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Kwaso? Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First and foremost, for enabling us to be able to communicate from the comfort of our homes. I've been listening in, Right Honorable Speaker, to the submission of the minister, and only seeking a clarification about zone. Just if she could clarify us on how the criteria that they are going to use while zoning, on how they start, about when they start giving out these masks. I would rather that perhaps they go into segmentation such that they guide us maybe that they will start with traders or they will start with a certain category of people, Right Honourable Speaker, but not zoning, because that would look like about, it's a bit discriminatory in nature. The second clarification, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm seeking from the Minister is about the fate of the so many youth and women that had started producing, because at the onset of this, the President encouraged Ugandans to start looking about themselves, not expecting things from outside the country, but to depend on their own productions. And out of that, Right Honourable Speaker and members, many took an initiative and started actually producing things that would be used during this period. So can the Minister tell us what is the fate of those so many Ugandans that actually had started production but are not among the 20 registered companies or the stakeholders that are talked about in the meeting that ensued in the Minister of the Prime Minister? I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Okay. Government Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I stood up to give information after listening to Honourable Cecilia Ogwal, who was asking information regarding a lot of happenings under COVID. And I was with the Prime Minister this morning, Right Honourable Speaker, and he has prepared a statement which is going to talk about how the exercise of fighting COVID has gone. He will talk about the accountability of the funds. He will talk about the COVID fund itself. A lot of information will be outlaid tomorrow. So I thought I should give the House, but also Honourable Cecilia Ogwal, to be a little bit patient and allow the Minister, who is at the front line, to tell us what they have prepared. And if Parliament can guide, we can happily accept improvements, because all of us are trying to make sure that we save Ugandans. So I just wanted to let my sister know that she has an obligation to respond to questions. Don't push her away. Kindly listen to the ministers if they stand here to give you information. And if you have any information to guide us, we will happily take it. We are together in it. We are all of us together in it. So, Madam, that's the information I wanted to give. The Prime Minister is coming tomorrow to give. What I'm saying is that we have to learn how to be patient and listen to one another.
Okay.
Honourable Dongoto.
Thank you, honourable members. I think the government, the ministers here have not yet understood that the worry of the Ugandans, at least represented here, is that the resumption of public transport has been made contingent upon acquiring masks, and that the masks are to be manufactured by NITIL. And until everybody has those masks, there will be no public transport. That's the question we're asking. When are they going to be made? If I buy my own mask, will I be allowed to use it? Should I go with the government of Uganda mask? Those are the questions we're asking. Because people are tired of being in the lockdown. Now, the conditions for which they are being told to wait are not in their control. Does NITIL have the money? Do they have the expertise? Do they have the materials? That's not in our control. But now we are being told until NITIL does so, you can't move. Those are the questions we want you to answer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To summarize, Madam Speaker, I want to say that already the companies that have been met, it is clear that the amount they are going to procure per day may not be adequate. That is why we are getting other smaller companies. However, the most important thing here, Madam, is that we are already engaging the public on sensitizing how to use the mask, so that once the masks are in place, they are being distributed, the public will be in position to put the mask rightly, how to remove it, and of course, importantly, when to wash it, because the NITIL we're talking about is reusable mask. The one that you can remove after using, you wash, you make it clean, you iron, and you reuse it. So, Madam Speaker, Thank you so much. Yes, a lot of donations were made to us. We are very grateful. We are compiling, just as the Chief Whip has said, at appropriate time, an accountability will be availed to this floor of Parliament, including the public. And I want to conclude as I sit down that we are grateful if we all work together, as this being one of the very important tools to prevent the spread of coronavirus in our community. We will see our community free of COVID-19. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Minister, just before you go, you know, in this town, there are a lot of young people who have made masks and they are selling them. I want to know, have they been contacted? Are they part of the 20 stakeholders? The young people who are all over the streets making a living out of masks. How do they fit in?
Madam Speaker, that's a very good information. Certainly, if we have the young people that have already made masks, I will take that up to our ministry and the Prime Minister, such that they should also be considered among the companies to be included in the company.
That's item 4.
Item 4 on the order paper. Motion for a resolution of Parliament to withdraw the proposal A to borrow up to US dollars 100 million for the financial year 2019-2020 and US dollars 90 million for the financial year 2020-2021 from the International Development Association of the World Bank Group to provide sufficient financial resources to the health sector and mitigate negative effects on the economy due to COVID-19, and US dollars 250 million from the International Monetary Fund for balance of payment support to the Bank of Uganda.
No, Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rule 61 of our Rules of Procedure requires us that if we are to withdraw a motion, rather anything that we have laid in this floor of the House, you should move a proper motion. So this motion is moved in that context, that I beg to move that a motion for a resolution of Parliament to withdraw the proposal to borrow up to 100 million US dollars for financial 2019-20 and 90 million US dollars for the financial 2020-21 from the International Development Association Fund of the World Bank Group to provide sufficient financial resources to health sector and mitigate negative effects on the economy due to COVID, and 250 million US dollars from IMF for the balance of payments to support the Bank of Uganda, and to move a motion of resolution of Parliament to borrow up to 300 million.
No, Honour Minister, you cannot move the withdrawal and the new one at the same time. Okay. So, you first move for withdrawal, and then if it is seconded, we have a small debate on it to justify why you are withdrawing. Okay. Because it's with our committee, and they have started work on it.
Okay. So, Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Is the motion seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the justification? Seconded by a number of ministers.
So, Madam Speaker, whereas on the 2nd of April 2020, we moved a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow a loan of 100 million for financial 2019-20 and 90 million for financial 2020 from International Development Bank, International World Bank to provide financial sufficient resources for the health sector and to mitigate the effects of the economy on COVID, and 250 for from the International Monetary Fund for balance of payments to support the Bank of Uganda, and the loan was accordingly referred to the Committee of the National Economy. And given the fact that, Madam Speaker, we had requested the bank and IMF for extra resources, but at that time, there was no indication that they could increase our allocation. And thereafter, the International Development Association of the World Bank informed us that they have increased their funding proposal towards COVID from 100 million US dollars for financial 2019-20 and 90 million for 2020-2021 to 300 million in total for the financial 2019-20. That is the reason why we are moving to withdraw the previous one and be able to submit a fresh request, which we have already negotiated with the two financial institutions, so that the amount of money that we are borrowing has changed and increased. That's, in brief, Madam Speaker, why we are seeking to withdraw the old one and replace it with the new request to Parliament.
Thank you. Honourable members, the comments? Honourable Nwagaba. And then Honourable Saida.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Having listened to my young brother, the Minister for Finance, I thought the proper motion would not be to withdraw, but to amend the original motion with the view to capture the increased amounts you are borrowing, so that we handle it that way. Would it not be then procedural right that actually the motion be substituted by a motion amending the earlier motion?
No. It's better to withdraw and start afresh. Honourable Saida.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the loan request was committed to our committee. But before you could start work, the Minister of Finance came up with new figures. And we found it difficult for us to proceed on two inconsistent requests. So we requested them to harmonize the two papers. They told us the first one was an estimate, and the second one was the fully negotiated one. So, Right Honourable Speaker, for us, once the Parliament approves, we shall proceed and process the new one, which is the actual. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Otto.
So much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. This is a motion for a resolution of Parliament to withdraw an earlier proposal. Madam Speaker, in a normal family, when there is crisis, the head of the family goes to the reserves. In our area, in Acholi, you go to the granary. You have certain special food kept in the ceiling of the house in the time for famine. So can the minister tell us, where are our national reserves? Because today, corona, borrowing. Tomorrow, cholera, borrowing. Tomorrow, floods, borrowing. How are we running this country? So how much money is in the national reserves? Because this is the time, as a country, we should be drawing from our reserves. Honourable Minister, I challenge you, before we just say withdraw, and this withdrawal, Honourable Speaker, is for purpose of increasing the amount to be borrowed. Secondly, what is our debt portfolio to GDP? Because it looks like the biggest approval, if this Parliament delays, they say you are frustrating the work of government. Every time, loan request, borrowing, loan request, borrowing. Can the minister tell us what is our total loan portfolio? We have 42 million Ugandans. You divide it on the head of each and every Ugandan. How much will each Ugandan pay? Because when you come and tell us 7 million US dollars, some people may not understand. You just tell us how much can each Ugandan pay and for how long. Because you people, you are old, you are running the country, you are aged, you are about to disappear from this planet, and then you leave us the young generation to pay the money. So how much is it before we can accept this withdrawal? What are you talking about?
Okay. Honour members. Yes, Honour Mawanda.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we had requested the Minister of Finance to come with a comprehensive report in respect to the status of the economy, such that we can be able to plan properly. They have brought this loan requisition. We don't know what it entails to cover. If the Minister had brought the report, we look at areas that are in much need of a certain amount of money, then we would consider it. Now they are withdrawing this loan requisition. They are bringing in another one. What is it entailing? I think it would have been better, Madam Speaker, for the Minister of Finance to first bring to us a comprehensive statement in respect to the status of the economy, and then we see what we can be able to do. This is why when a sick person goes to the doctor first carries out the tests to find out, not necessarily that the patient will come and say, I am suffering from malaria. When the actual sense you will find it's not malaria. But the doctor ascertains that it's not malaria, it is a certain disease, and then he prescribes the exact medicine that the patient wants. So it would be better, the Minister brings the report here, then we prescribe the exact medicine that the economy needs. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much, Honourable Otto and Honourable Mawanda, for raising these important questions. But I thought at this stage, Madam Speaker, we are in the procedural matter of withdrawing a motion that we have forwarded to the Committee of National Economy to replace it with a new motion, and therefore not actually debating the substance of the whole motion. That's why we have a Committee of National Economy that will now look at it, come back, and then at that time you can say we accept this loan or we don't accept this loan. Now, on the issue of the reserves, we can get the exact figure tomorrow, Madam Speaker, but this is not the way we handle or economies utilize reserves. That when you have a situation like this, you go to the bank and get the reserves, and then you use them that way. I will make a statement on the utilization of our reserves. How much do we have in reserves? How do we apply reserves? For what purpose and for what, at what stage? On the issue of the entire debt portfolio, Madam Speaker, we will be able to answer all those issues when the Committee of National Economy reports on these loans. But for today, it's a procedural issue that we are handling to withdraw and replace it with a new motion.
Okay, honourable members, put the question that the motion be withdrawn. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it. So you'll have to move a new motion.
So,
and maybe, honourable members, just to clarify that the reason we rejected just amending is that in the first proposal, they were requesting for US dollars 219 million from the African Development Bank, and then another 55 million, again from the ADB. Then the second one, they're requesting for 224 million US dollars, and also 51 million. So there was a lot of conflict in the figures. That's why we said withdraw one and then start again.
Okay. So, Madam Speaker, I now want to move a motion for resolution of Parliament to borrow up to 300 million for budget support for financial 2019-20 from the International Development Association of the World Bank to provide sufficient financial resources to the health sector and to mitigate effects of the COVID-19 on the economy, and 361 million SDL, which is equivalent 491.5 million US dollars from the IMF for the balance of payments and budget support to address the negative effects of COVID on our economy. I beg to move, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, is it seconded? Seconded. We send to the Committee on National Economy for perusal and report back. Now,
Madam Speaker, there was another short motion. There are two motions which are really procedural in nature. One was to a motion again of a resolution of Parliament to withdraw the proposal to borrow up to 219.4 million from the African Development Bank and 40.6 million, which is UA, which is equivalent 55.6 million US dollars from the African Development Fund to finance the Kampala City Lords Rehabilitation Project. And we moved this one, Madam Speaker, earlier, but there was a mistake when we reached at the committee stage on the figure. So we are withdrawing this, replacing it again with a new one, so that we avoid, as you know, we're in the Karuhanga's way of doing things, so that we really move things properly in terms of procedure. We don't have to go into litigation matters. So I beg to move, Madam Speaker.
Now, members, is it seconded? Withdrawal seconded? Okay. If there are no other comments, put the question that loan request be withdrawn. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I have it.
So now I beg to move that a motion for a resolution of Parliament to borrow up to 224 million US dollars from the African Development Bank and 34.54 units of accounts equivalent 51 million US dollars from the African Development Fund to finance the Kampala roads rehabilitation projects be moved, and I lay the respective documents for this House consideration.
No, Honourable Minister, which one are you handling? Is it the 300 million USD?
No, that one we have finished, Madam Speaker. We are now in Kampala.
SDRC 61?
Yeah, the one of 224 for African Development Bank.
Okay, Honourable members, if it is seconded, it's sent to the Committee of National Economy for perusal and report back. Thank you.
Item 6, motion for adoption of the interim report of the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Health on COVID-19.
You're really going to confuse us. It's a different one. Item 12.
Not the speaker.
Why do you want to move? Haven't we done this one? Haven't we finished it?
No, we haven't.
Before it goes to the committee? No. You want us to call this item?
Yeah. The short one, just a breakdown.
Okay, Honourable members, the Minister wants to correct something in item 12. Let's finish with his loan, and then we'll go back and finish our bill.
Madam Speaker and honourable colleagues, again, I just want to apologize for these procedural issues. Madam Speaker, the background to this is that when we passed here a loan a few months ago, the parliamentary resolution captured the total amount of the loan. But this loan was broken down, and the lenders wanted to know how much is for package 1, package 2, package 3. So as they requested that the resolution of Parliament should reflect that. And the clerk has looked at the documents and advised that the best way to go is to move a motion of Parliament to collect a resolution of Parliament authorizing government to borrow United States dollars 456,370 million from the Exim Bank of China to finance and upgrade the construction of the national oil roads under package 1. That is Masindi, Kasanja, Park Junction, Tanga, Pakwachi Junction, Palabulisa Road, Wanseko, Bugungu Roads, Package 2, Hoima, Butiaba, Wanseko, and Package 3, Buhimba, Burumba, Bulamaji, Igayaza, Kakumiro Road. So the total amount of, Madam Speaker, are moving under Rule 55 of our procedures, whereas the government of Uganda, in accordance with Article 159 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 36 of Public Finance Management Act 2015, laid before Parliament a draft loan agreement for United States $370 million to be concluded between the government of the Republic of Uganda and the Exim Bank of China to finance and upgrade the National Oil Roads Package 1, which is Masindi, Kasanja Park Junction, Tanga Pakwachi Junction, Palabulisa Road, Wanseko Bugungu Roads, Package 2, Hoima Butiaba Wanseko, and Package 3, Buhimba, Buramaji, Igayaza, Kakumiro. And whereas that the Parliamentary Committee of National Economy, in its report to Parliament on 27th of November 2019, which report was debated and approved by the House, acknowledged that the total cost of the 3 road projects, exclusive VAT and financed by Exim Bank, is as follows. Package 1 is $186,55,241 US. Package 2, $152,607,764 US. Package 3, $117,715,103, leading to a total amount of $456,378,108 to be borrowed from the Exim Bank of China, noting, however, that there was an error occasioned in the computation of the total costs, leading to the total loan amount being indicated in United States $456,370,000 rather than the correct figure of the United States $456,378,108, which error was carried in the resolution of Parliament of 27th November 2019, authorizing the loan request, realizing therefore that there is an urgent need to unbundle the total amount authorized per package and further to collect the total loan amount authorized by Parliament. Now therefore this Parliament resolves to correct this resolution dated 27th November 2019 to read as follows. Government is hereby authorized to borrow United States $456,337,108 US in according with the terms and conditions stated in the loan amount from the Exim Bank of China to finance and upgrade and construction of national oil roads as follows. Package 1, Masindi Kasanja Park Junction, Tanga Pakwachi Junction, Palabulisa Road, Wanseko Bugungu Roads, of equivalent amount of $186 million US, $55,241 US. Package 2, Hoima Butiaba Wanseko, United States, $152 million US, $607,764. And package 3, Buhimba Bulamaji Igayaza Kakumiro, United States $117,715,103. Madam Speaker, I beg to move to put this record correct.
Okay, honourable members, this motion is to correct the contents of our resolution of 27th November 2019. I put the question that the record be corrected as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it. Item 7. 7.
Item 7, Bills Committee stage, the National Local Content Bill 2019.
What, close to?
Yeah, close to. It's the only clause that is to go.
Okay. Honour members, we had stood over clause 2 yesterday. Yes, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Chair. Right Honourable Chair, yesterday we stood over clause 2 and you directed that the committee goes back and harmonizes with the affected parties who were Honourable Maranga of Igara East and the Minister of State for Trade over who should be the responsible minister for the bill. And I would like to report that today morning we had a meeting with the affected parties and we made the following observations. A, whereas the object of the bill is to provide for prioritization of Uganda citizens, Ugandan and resident companies in public procurement, this is already catered for in the recently amended PPDA Act under sections 50 and 59A on reservation and preference schemes, and this addresses this matter. In addition, Madam Chair, skills and technology transfer to Ugandans is also catered for under section 97(2)(c) of the Employment Act 2006. B, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives has a department dealing with local content and implementing the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy and has developed the necessary competencies. This policy has now been adequately provided legal enforcement under the recently amended PPDA Act under Section 50 and Section 59A. C, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is already having related agencies and departments implementing objectives related to the provisions in the National Local Content Bill 2019, particularly the PPDA Act 2003 as amended and the Investment Code Act 2019. Madam Chair, with these observations, the committee recommends that the proposed amendment on clause 2 by Honorable Mawanda Michael Maranga be dropped and the status quo on the definition of the minister remain as is in the bill. Madam Chair, I beg to report.
Thank you, honour members. Put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Clause 2 as amended.
Question is that clause 2 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Title.
Put the question that the title do stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no.
Madam Chair, procedure. The Honourable Minister, when we met with him, we realized that there was a need to to recommit, clause 42 of the bill. I would like to seek your indulgence whether we can do it now or whether...
No, recommit takes place at the third reading. It takes place at the third reading.
So you be patient.
Okay. Yes.
Motion for the House to resume.
Honorable Mover, motion for the House.
Madam Speaker, Madam Chair,
Yes, we did.
I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House...
Move the House to resume.
Oh. Madam Chairperson, I beg to move that the House resumes and the Committee of the Whole House reports thereto.
Now, members, the question is that the House do resume and the Committee of the Whole House do report thereto. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Report from the Committee of the Whole House.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the bill entitled the National Local Content 2019 and passed it with amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the Committee of the Whole House be adopted.
Now, members, the question is that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Bill's third reading. The National Local Content Bill 2019.
Question is that the bill be read for a third time. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with Rule 137 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I beg the indulgence of the House to recommit Clause 42 of the National Local Content Bill 2019. Right Honourable Speaker, we passed Clause 42 of the bill, which seeks to repeal Sections 50 and 59A of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act 2003, and yet the said sections are critical in the protection of domestically manufactured goods and services provided by Ugandan consultants and contractors. Right Honourable Speaker, my proposal is that we delete Clause 42 from the bill, and it's due to the following justification. Section 50 provides for preference of Ugandan goods and services by Ugandan contractors and consultants as a way of giving them a competitive advantage when competing for public procurement contracts with foreign manufactured goods, foreign contractors, and foreign consultants. The competitive advantage is meant to spearhead the development of locally manufactured goods and services, a principle in line with the BUBU policy. Section 59A provides for the operational mechanisms of how the preference provided for under Section 50 is given at the time of procurement. Repealing the two sections will disadvantage the Ugandans who locally manufacture goods and offer services, fail the BUBU policy, and therefore the object and purpose of the National Local Content Bill. I therefore beg the indulgence of the mover of the bill and the House to allow us reconsider Clause 42 by deleting the same. I beg to move.
Honourable Mover.
Madam Speaker, we hear the arguments of the Minister of Trade, and we see no problem in his proposals. Earlier on, Madam Speaker, we thought local content being an affirmative action should be handled separately, but like the Budget Act was not repealed by the Public Finance Management Act, we see no problem leaving this, the same requirement within the PPDA Act, and therefore we concede.
So we delete this and reinstate the original position. The 50 and 59 remain in the law.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Any objections? Onamuiru? Just for the record.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, for the record, the Minister is getting wise, and I support the motion as moved by the Minister.
Okay. So, Bills Committee stage?
Bills Committee, the Local Content Bill 2019. Clause 42.
Honour members, I put the section, the question that clause 42, no, section 50 and section 59 of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act remain part of our law.
Thank you, Right Honourable Chair. Right Honourable Chair, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Act 2003 provides, under Section 50, it provides for preference clauses. And under Section 59A, there is a provision that addresses preference schemes. These ones are already existing in the PPDA Act of 2003. Yes. And when we amended it, we did not repeal them. What this clause 42 is seeking is to have these two sections deleted such that they are catered for in the National Local Content Act. So what we are asking is that we delete this clause 42 such that section 50 and 59A stays as it is in the PPDA Act.
I think that's what I said. Okay, let us delete clause 42. I put the question that clause 42 be deleted. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye. Is that it?
Motion for the House to resume.
Honour Mover.
Madam Chairperson, I beg to move that the House resumes and the Committee of the Whole House reports thereto.
Honour members, the question is that the House to resume and the Committee of the Whole House to report thereto. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Is that it?
Report from the Committee of the Whole House.
Honour Mover.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the bill entitled the National Local Content Bill 2019 and has deleted clause 42.
Motion for adoption. Honour Mover.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the whole House, from the Committee of the whole House, be adopted.
Now, members, I put the question that the report of the Committee of the whole House be adopted. Those in favor say aye. The contrary, no. Ayes have it.
Bills third reading. The National Local Content Bill 2019.
Now, members, yes, move for the third reading.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the National Local Content Bill be read the third time and do pass.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill entitled the National Local Content Bill be read for the third time and do pass. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
A bill for an act entitled the National Local Content Act 2020.
Title settled and bill passes. Honourable members, I want to congratulate Honourable Shave and the members of the Finance Committee and also this House. This bill has taken a very long and arduous journey. We want to congratulate all of us and the country for finally getting this law, and I hope that will help us improve our situation as a country. Thank you. I think let me allow the Honourable Kenya to lay his report. Just to lay. Yes, Honourable Shave.
Madam Speaker, I am aware that we are rushing and Honourable Kenya needs to present, but Madam Speaker, this is an excitement moment for me, and I feel so excited that this law has been passed. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you very much. Since we started this law, the process, Madam Speaker, you have been in support. The manufacturers, the producers in this country, and all people who are concerned about the inclusive growth, where all Ugandans are part and parcel of the development, are very proud of you. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I would like also to thank the President for the guidance he gave us through the drafting of this law. Some people had confused him that this is a very bad law and it never needed to see the light of day. But through the engagements that we had with him, he guided on how this must be adopted as a country. So I want to thank him for the contribution. And I will be more happier when he assents to this law for the benefit of Uganda. And Madam Speaker, your team at Parliament, the Department of Legal, did a very good job throughout the discussions, throughout the drafting, and making sure that this law comes to the state it came to pass. Madam Speaker, allow me in a special way thank the Director of Legal Department and especially the Legal Counsel, Tamale Mirundi. He did a wonderful job in making sure that everything that we agree on is put in the law. Madam Chair, we had members of Parliament, Honourable Muyanja Mbabali, Honourable Edmund Ariko, Honourable Morrison Chibalia, and the rest that picked interest. Honourable, I would say National Dialogue. They've been at the forefront of pushing this. Honourable Wilfred Nwagaba, they've been there to make sure that this law comes to pass. Madam Speaker, we had the partners, the Minister of Trade, and UNDP. UNDP facilitated much of the workshops that we had. We had the Private Sector Foundation, who are the direct beneficiaries of this law, Uganda Manufacturers Association, and all that sent the contributions and concerns throughout the process. Madam Chair, we had challenges from the Minister of Finance. Our Minister of Finance, for whatever reasons we don't know, failed. This law probably may not work. But I want to urge the Minister who is here, Honorable Bahati, I know you love Ugandans, and I know all the things you do them for the people of Uganda. What the people of Uganda need, and throughout the consultations we've made, we want to urge you to support this bill now that is being domiciled within the Ministry of Finance. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Motion.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honourable
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the committee, since he has not thanked us, I would like to thank the members of Finance Committee. And on a special note, Madam Speaker, this is the first bill we have passed without benchmarking and without doing any engagement in terms of workshop. We just relied on our experience over the years in handling bills of this nature. Madam Chair, it would have been unfair for the member to thank the rest of the teams he worked with, and he forgets to thank the Committee on Finance. I want to use this occasion to also thank the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Trade. Yesterday, we almost hit a dead end, but they were able to harmonize amongst themselves first, and we have been able to reach this far. Madam Speaker, the Committee on Finance works closely with the Ministry of Finance, and I want to state that in this process, the Ministry of Finance was there to support our consultations as and when we needed their support. I want to lastly thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, for your passion about local content. You have been on us time and again asking us when this bill will be presented in Parliament. And with these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to beg that we have another important bill whose stakeholder is on us all the time. I want to beg that in this period remaining in this session, we be given a chance to handle the national payments bill. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
It is already on the order paper, so you don't need to worry. Please.
Madam Chair.
To go home.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, it was just an oversight. I never intended to skip the chairperson and the committee. Honorable Chair and the committee members, thank you very, very much. The leadership of the chairperson today, this morning, helped us so much in solving the impasse that we had. So it is very absurd on my side not to have thanked the chairperson and the committee that spared a lot of time to process this bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for Trade. Thank you very much, everyone.
Motion for adoption of the interim report of the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Health on COVID-19.
Honorable Chair, Health.
Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the report has been on the Parliament website for the last 3 weeks, and it was discussed by the National Task Force last week. Therefore, I beg to request that I lay the report on table, and then a member of the committee tomorrow is given special chance to ask the Prime Minister when he's doing a report, to ask a few specific questions concerning the report. So I beg to lay the interim report of the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Health on COVID-19. And this is an interim report while the team is still working. I beg to lay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and I want to thank the Chair and the Health Subcommittee for the work they've done. They've really gone around the country, visited facilities, visited the borders. They've given useful information to the government and to Parliament. I do want to thank them for that. So now, members, we've done quite a bit, but it's 5:45 and we need to get home. House adjourned to tomorrow at 2 p.m. Thank you very much.
The Office of the President informs the general public of the launch of the Manifesto Week 2020 that will be on the 15th of May 2020. Activities of the Manifesto Week will run from the 18th of May to the 27th of May 2020. The Manifesto Week is another opportunity to celebrate